Hello and welcome to the 21 Days Face Your Fears online challenge. I am Bristena Mantu, transformation facilitator, energy therapist and writer, and my mission is helping people heal their past so as to be able to live the life of their bliss. Today I have a super guest on our Face Your Fears challenge. This is a journey of your personal growth and empowerment through fearlessness and the power of community. So welcome Dan Sommer.
Thank
He's
you.
got an amazing story. His 25-year professional career in military security and counterterrorism took him around the world, where he taught at police and military academies and worked on security-related projects in 17 countries on 4 continents. He now lives in Iceland, but he's originally from Denmark. In 2011, however, Dan decided to change his life path and after obtaining diplomas in ministry, biblical studies, and pastoral counseling, he took on a full-time role as the pastor of the Apostolic Church Beck Shekinah in Iceland. He serves his community as a spiritual teacher, counselor, and Reiki master. His mission in life is to have a positive effect on the world through motivating and empowering people worldwide. Hello, Dan. How are you today?
Hello there. I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you for
Good to
joining
be with you.
us on this challenge. You have
Oh,
a
you're welcome.
pretty remarkable story. Would you like to share anything more about it in relation to facing your fears?
Well, we all have fears, and that is part of I think, the greatest curse in man, the human life, and that's why I like what you're doing. It's a great thing you're doing,
Thank you.
because facing our fears is what's really holding people back from experiencing the joy of life
Yeah.
and being all you can be in every way you can be, spiritually, physically, and physically. Everything you can do is through fears. And from a theological perspective, the interesting thing is to see if we would like take a biblical thing like the Adam and Eve story, where they eat of the apple. And what is
Yeah.
the first thing that happened to them? They get fearful and hide. So, and they are hiding from God, and he asked them, why are you hiding? They said, because we're naked. And right away he asked them the big question, who told you you were naked? Right? Because who got that notion into you that you weren't good enough?
Yeah.
See? And fear, so basically we could say original sin in the metaphorical sense is fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of hiding. So what you are doing is, from a theological perspective, at least from a Christian perspective, is exactly what the world needs.
Yeah,
And
that's why I'm doing it, because we need this fearlessness mentality to grow in ourselves and to realize that our fears
exactly,
basically are holding us back from realizing, actualizing our human potential.
true, true, absolutely. So I had the profound sort of the privilege of drowning when I was 14 in sort of diving competition. I say a privilege because I had an out-of-body experience from that. I saw myself, I heard my friends, I watched myself be resuscitated. I came back into myself and was
Wow.
puking and feeling terrible. So from I was 14, and at that time I was a hardcore Darwinist, and I still believe in evolution, but I came home as a 14-year-old Darwinist with a soul and had to think, like, okay, how do I make this world fit together? So, and how do you make your rational brain works with your spiritual enlightened brain, sort of.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that this overcome my fear of, for instance, death. And
That's
it
a big
also
one.
taught me, yeah, and it also taught me a very important thing is that life goes on. There is more, right? You don't just exist now. So that gave me sort of this fear of failure. I don't really have that way because I got rid of that. But my biggest fear for many, many years and part of it was pain because I fell out of a tree when I was 11 and had got a spine injury. And so I was always afraid of pain and I would try to avoid pain. And for many years, I was like, even in the military, I was trying to avoid direct confrontation in fights because I didn't want to experience pain. I wasn't afraid of dying. I didn't care about that. But pain was not good.
Yeah.
And it took me sort of quite some years to overcome that one through basically training like martial arts or something, it gets you, well, you can. It is not so bad, and you can learn to control it. And finally, of course, with Reiki, I learned to control pain and heal the pain when it comes up. So today I'm free of that. But my personal, the biggest fear outside pain that I always had, and I'm still, of course, slightly working with, was I had a bad family life. So love,
Okay.
actually, being loved was my fear, that I was never good enough for that. And that has also taken a long time. But again, with Reiki and a spiritual life, that has changed. And today I no longer have those issues, and it's easy to love and be loved. So
That's beautiful.
if you let it happen, but you have to learn to let go. And so those are always been my two major fears in life: sort of love rejection fear from absent parents, and then of course the fear of pain, physical pain. Because I had experienced it and didn't want to get it back, So, and again, I have managed to overcome both of them, luckily. So,
Congratulations. And regarding
like,
the fear of pain, this made me think of the fact that so many of us, when we reach to our core wound, to our core limiting belief or our core fear, and we manage to heal it, overcome it, and take steps in the opposite direction, some of us actually end up having careers helping other people overcome the same major trauma or
yes.
big thing that we ever overcame ourselves. And this is why I think doing positive change in our subconscious mind, or working with healing our past wounds and past traumas and past fears, helps us also realize our life purpose as well. Would you agree with that?
Well, absolutely, and of course it's interesting when you think about the old concepts of if we go back in time to before sort of organized religion, we had shamans.
Mm-hmm.
Shamans' sole role basically was about eliminating fear. They were like predicting when it was the right time to crop or sow or do whatever, or how the hunt will go and what will happen in the afterlife. Their job was basically to dissipate fear.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
In many ways. And then, of course, we come into religion, and priests have another, again, same role in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the apostle, basically, in the Christian means the bringer of glad tidings, somebody who actually teaches you glad tidings, makes you happy and joyful. And so that was kind of Jesus' mission. And today, actually, we could turn around and say that the people who are actually fulfilling this role today are life coaches. Because a life coach is actually teaching you to situate in, find your inner core strength, find your own well-being, and go out and do what you make your dreams come true. So in many ways we can say that with due respect to my own profession, but basically we can say that the actual priest of today in many ways is the life coach. And you can't be a priest today unless you actually go into life coaching, because that is such a fundamental part of happiness.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. It's an interesting perspective on life coaching. Thank you for that.
No, but that is what it is, really, and I think that's why many churches are failing. That's why we see in the Christian world we have perhaps the highest use of antidepressants, we have the highest anxiety level, the highest stress level, etc., because preachers and priests have failed to fill that service in the community and have focused more on preaching words.
Yeah.
Rather than to empower and motivate, which was the original glad tidings was about. You are free. You are a child of God. There is something better waiting for you, etc., etc., etc. And they're sort of like focusing on the apple story, that they sinned, rather than did they? Well, they ate an apple, and God didn't come and shame them, but He said, "Why are you hiding?" Right? And again, who told you that you were naked? Who told you were not good enough? Right? And this is what happens to all of our life. Someone in our family or an environment or a class or a schoolmates or a colleague or a spouse end up telling us something about ourselves, and we start believing it.
Yeah.
And then we start hiding from our dreams and reality and what we really want to do. So that story keeps going on. In my opinion, that is the actual original sin. That is to get rid of fear. Once you have rid of your fear, then you can be truly happy. So.
Amazing. I love your interpretation of the original sin, and I truly believe the fact that our life begins at the end of our comfort zone.
Well, it does. It
Yeah.
does.
Okay, so what is your number one strategy when helping yourself or others overcome fears?
Well, normally I have like a sort of little life coaching sort of program that I started long ago, which is called Dare, because you actually have to dare to live. You have to, and that comes back to your thing. It's kind of funny when we met again up here, and what you're doing later on is sort of along the same path, and dare. And the first thing you have to do is you have to dare to do things, and you have to write them down. But you have to start by downsizing something, the D, because without downsizing, you don't have enough time. And we are so filled with things that we need to do or feel we have to do, or society is pushing upon us, family is pushing upon us, friends are pushing upon us. And that keeps us from actually focusing on ourselves. And we need to sort of dare to downsize those things that do not bring us joy and happiness. Even if that is are you there?
Yes, yes. Can you hear
Even if
me?
that is part of our family or something, you know,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, yeah,
okay. I'm having a. All right, let's go back to your call. See, that is a huge problem that we have, and so we need to downsize that, and we need to be able to tell people that sorry, you know, I don't have time, and it's not really bringing me joy, and a lot of us are worrying about, well, you know, this person needs me or etc. But that is not our real concern. Our real concern should be ourselves. That might sound a little selfish, but you are here to fulfill your destiny in the world, right? You are not here to fulfill the destiny or dreams of someone else. You might work with them on that. You might be part of that team. You might want to share with them in that. But that is not your first goal. Your first goal is you, and which is why Jesus said, love thy neighbor as yourself, meaning that first you have to learn to love yourself. And that starts with an inner journey and a spiritual inner search for yourself within, you know, and finding yourself and finding out who am I. And this is why I often like a joke, and it's not really a joke, but it sort of upsets a lot of people in the Christian sector. But I basically say, you can't become a good Christian unless you first become a Buddhist, because a Buddhist seeks within, and we have lost that in the modern Western world. We have lost this esoteric knowledge of searching within, and we all focus on exoteric things, right? And today, when people are feeling depressed or sad or something, the best solution is go to the gym, buy a bicycle, start biking, but. And then you buy all the right gear and suits, and you go out there and you start working out and blah blah blah, and you fill your life with something else, or take up a hobby or something. But the problem is there's a hole within you, and you're not filling it with external things. You have to fill it with internal things, so esoteric knowledge and esoteric practice. So, and the next one, of course, I have in the DARE is the A, which stands for absorb. So you need to absorb other people's knowledge. The biggest mistake we do is always trying to reinvent the wheel, which is not necessary. We spend so much time in life trying to reinvent the wheel in all sorts of aspects, not just physical, but spiritual as well. When there is so much knowledge already out there and information, and science, of course, today is producing huge things, but also ancient philosophies have produced great things. So learn to absorb from others and absorb other energies, and perhaps there are a lot of things that you're doing that you don't really need to do. Someone else could do for you, maybe for a small fee, but it might actually be more productive and give you more time to what you really want to do. And the R stands for research. Actually research what's out there. Reach your goal. Once you research them and figure out where are my stats actually in life, what's going on, what is changing, then you start reaching your goal. And once you reach them, then you can't stop. Then you need to evaluate my life, because there's another goal going on. Because goals are only little way stations on a long train journey. They're only little stations. And they're not an end in themselves. They're just a stop point, right, on your route. So learn to right away evaluate Where are you? And it's very important not to give up. That is to evaluate where you are now, and where was I 3 months ago, or a month ago, or 6 months ago, or 12 months ago, and then you actually see a change in most lives. When it's where people are so focused on, oh, I'm still having problems. I'm still having. Yes, that's part of life. But do you have the same problem that you particularly were dealing with a year ago? No. Well, then you have moved on.
Then you've grown.
So yeah, you're grown, and that's a movement. That's what all life is about.
And
And then you're moving
celebrate.
in that direction. Yeah, exactly. You need
It's
to
so
learn to
important to
celebrate.
celebrate ourselves because
Exactly.
we take too much time complaining and moaning and criticizing ourselves. But when it comes to celebration, we kind of overlook this important fact. I think we should do this more often.
Yeah, and we should also learn to. It's a right to blow your own horn once in a while. It's a right to show off and say, hey, look what I achieved. Wow, I'm so happy. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Humble is just meaning you're not necessarily bragging, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be happy and celebrate your achievements,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So people have to learn there's a difference there between, and that's very well. And that's sort of like my whole thing is that you really need to evaluate everything. And we have this saying because of my military past, and when you're on long patrol, for instance, going through a jungle, and a platoon is walking through a jungle, the front people are chopping jungle, right, with machetes and just looking at, and they're staring into the darkness of this thick, dense jungle, scared of seeing enemies. And the people on the sides next to them, they are watching the left side into this jungle, and the guys on the right are looking into this jungle, seeing just fear. They're just seeing darkness. They don't know what's lurking in the darkness. They keep moving. All they see is jungle, 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 and we're not. Everything is the same. Now the guy walking at the rear of the platoon, watching back, when they come to a break, they're much more fresh. They're not giving up. They have this because they've seen how far we come. They see a trail behind them, right? And they're always looking back and saying, wow, so how far we gone. On the other hand, if you keep looking back, you can't trail a new path, right? So you need to find this balance, and this is why, for instance, in the army, you have a thing, and you rotate people all the time between front and back regularly, because people were out in half an hour, then you send them back and returning. And this way you keep up your spirits, right? And I use that sort of a story because it's sort of a parable of what we need to do in life. We need to regularly stop, look back and see the trail, how far we come, but of course also see the obstacles in front of us now and think about solutions, not fear, but okay, what is the solution? And don't watch for the enemy in the dark, look for the path through the jungle rather than for the obstacles.
Wow, that's such a beautiful comparison, and I'm sure your adventures in your military service have taught you loads and loads of beautiful life lessons.
Unfortunately, some of them are not good, and other ones are. But one has to learn to live with what you have and play the card you've been given, and instead of there are always good things, and you just keep focusing on them, and then you will eventually find your way. So it's no giving up in life is not an option. It's not an option that's been given to us. So yeah, but I mean, once in a while it's okay to stop and sit down and reflect, and whether that being going like Jesus 40 Days in Desert, or Reiki Master Mikao Usui going 21 days up in the Mount Goromayo, or wherever you want to do, or go to a retreat, or seek life coaching. Because life coaching, of course, starts with basically having a sit down and look at yourself and where am I and where am I going? What do I want, or where have I been, right?
Yeah. Take a step back and really look at the whole perspective over your life and see how you can make it better.
True.
Okay, I had a question in relation to the letters A and R. You said it was absorb and research. So what do people who are maybe kind of new to the whole spirituality or self-development path, and there are so many sources around, so many gurus, so many teachers, maybe some of them have even contradictory teachings or messages. How do we differentiate between all these sources of information, and how do we know what's the real deal, what's the real truth?
Well, of course, I'm a little bit influenced by Jesus, being a Christian, but Jesus had very good sort of advice. He said that you should judge a tree by its fruit. So if the fruit is good, then the tree is good, no matter if it's a different tree. It doesn't matter if it's a birch tree or oak tree or a pine tree. If the fruit is good, or an apple tree or something. So one thing we have to do is, first of all, stop judging and just looking for one kind of tree. You have to look for a tree that bears fruit. So if a guru bears fruit, and that means that people come to him, learn, or him or her, and learn, and grow, and then move on, then it's a good tree. Now, if they have to stay with him permanently in order to grow, then it's not a tree that bears fruit, because fruit leaves the tree, right? Fruit drops from the tree.
Yeah.
They don't stay, and they sow seeds themselves. Right? So if it's not something that encourages you to go out and do your own and continue and move on, then you know it's the wrong one. And that's sort of like, if it's like a subscription thing and sort of like, you should stay with me forever, I'm the real guru, then you have a problem. You should seek another fruit tree. And of course, contradiction, that is fine. It's unavoidable in life and spirituality, because we are trying to explain esoteric experiences, spiritual experiences that we get, enlightenment, which are not occurring per se in this world. And how can you explain something that is not physical with a physical world, with a physical language? And you can only explain something based on the vocabulary you already know, and the language that you have, and what does it include. That is why, for instance, we can read sacred text and we can have different understanding, because our cultural and linguistic background gives us different understanding of it. So you will never find anything that is absolutely correct, because it's impossible. Just like if you look out of the sky now, it has one color in England now, in London where you are, and a different one here in Iceland. Here is actually very, very grey, because it's been snowing today. Unbelievably true. Yesterday I was celebrating spring was here, because we had green buds in the trees, and I woke up today with snow.
Iceland.
But yeah, Iceland. But the thing is that you know, I can't explain this grade to you except in a lot of different terms, trying to explain to you using parables or similar things to explain, like the steely iron gray clad color of the sky. But I can't impress upon you the real picture. Just like you can't explain to me what you are seeing when you look at the sky, what the color is. And this is a very important thing, is that whenever we are absorbing something, and whenever a guru is sharing something, it is always an attempt by the ego to explain something that was not created by the ego. And that can never be 100% correct. It will always be wrong. You can always find faults in it. You can always find contradictions. And the most important thing is to not get stuck by the contradictions, but to move on and just see, okay, what does this lesson teach me? Can I use it for something? Right? Because no one has ever, well, as it says in the Gospel of John, God is spirit. You need to worship in spirit. Well, you can't explain a spirit with physical words, right? You can't ever find the right words. And a guru will try to teach what he learned, right? What he experienced, and the method on which he found his enlightenment. And that's what people want to ask him always, like, oh, what did you do, and how did you get to it, and can I copy it? And the most important thing is to always realize you should not walk in the footstep of the masters. You should continue on the path they were on, right? That is because otherwise you just keep repeating the same process. And that was their journey, which took them because of things that happened in their life. They needed a special lesson to learn their thing. They might be able to guide you, but they can't walk that path for you. And you can't find that bliss by just walking in their shoes. You have to walk your own path, right?
And have your own life lessons, and your own mistakes, and your own glories and victories.
But obviously, Obviously, they can help you with certain things. Okay, this is better than that path, etc. Sort of, or this might not be the right way. Uh, you can do LSD all your life or magic mushrooms to have spiritual experiences, um, which might initially seem like a good idea because it helps people. And I'm not advocating drugs now. I'm just saying some people have absolutely no spiritual experience and no spiritual belief, whatever. By taking one like drug, they might right away like get pushed into it and actually experience and come back and think, ooh, wow, there's something. Then I suggest that you should go on an inner quest after that, right? But there are these ways. You have to keep searching, and you have to kind of finding your way and do it through inner search.
Yeah. That's very important. Thank you for making that point very clear. Okay, Dan, we're almost finished now. I would like to offer you a chance to share with the people who are watching this interview and want to get in contact with you, your website or the project that you're working on at the moment that you'd like them to know about.
Well, right now I'm working actually on a project that goes just along with this, and it's called the Bet Shekinah Sanctuary. And we're founding a sanctuary here in Iceland, which sort of like a spiritual retreat center, which also show off the great nature of Iceland and the organic, healthy living that we can have here. We have some of the purest water in the world, purest air in the world, etc. A very pristine country. But we also try to teach life coaching is part of it, of course, and leadership skills, because leadership skills are very important to get the self-confidence to deal with the things you need to learn for instance, through life coaching. But also spiritual reflection and prayer and healthy work, like garden working, etc. So we're working on that, and we have these 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days sort of retreats here with sort of fairly economically priced based on that.
Wonderful.
Because it is my hope, and it has been my mission in life in 2011 to motivate and empower people worldwide. And I do that basically because I want to have a positive effect on the world, and I do that if you motivate and empower people. And empowering is the key aspect, and that's again come back to the guru thing.
Yeah.
You cannot just do it by being a adherent or a follower. A real guru is the one that will empower you to go out and start your own place, your own school, your own path, and share your information and learn on that. If he's just making you into his follower, then that's not the right thing. And that's, of course, one of the problems, again, we have within Christianity. We have basically created a huge mass of followers and much fewer leaders and doers, right?
Yeah. Empowering us to be our own gurus.
Exactly. You need to motivate people. First, you need to motivate them to get started. But once they get started, you need to empower them by telling them actually it is all within you.
Yes.
And Jesus said right away in the Gospels, whatsoever you see me do, you can do too.
Yep.
So if we can do whatever Jesus did, that means he was not using some divine power to do it that we do not have. He was nowhere different from us. So whatever he did, we can do. And I think it's the same with all one, whether it be Buddha or Jesus or Zarathustra or Mikao Usui, whatsoever they did and achieved, so can we.
Yes, absolutely.
And we can achieve different things and greater things if we want to. So just believe in yourself and keep moving on, and don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough for something or that you're not right, because that's what we came back to, sort of this original fear. And that is the original sin, being fear. So learn to overcome. And no one has a right to tell you down. No one has a right to put you down. Right?
Or if they do, you just don't listen to them and then just go about your life.
Yeah, when I first became ordained, a colleague told me that, Dan, remember that there will be a lot of people that will hurt you and say things and that will make you angry or sad or something. But just always start with the first thing. Do I think that this person intentionally meant to hurt me or be bad to me? If not, let it go. Right?
Let it go.
Let it go. Just if I do believe that, then deal with it. Sit down and talk to that person. Confront it. Don't just go away and chew on it in silence and feel bad about it, bring it up. Speak up. You have the right. You are son and daughter of God. You are not supposed to sit under this. So speak up for yourself and stand up, and then you will become happy, because do not let anyone talk you down, no matter if it's your family or your parents or your grandparents or your teacher or your priest or your guru or anyone. You have that divine spark in you, and you are part of the all.
Yes. Okay, Dan, so what's the name of your website, if you like to?
Well, that's a bit difficult one to pronounce, perhaps, but that's Sanctuary in English, sanctuary.Postelekirken, which is, I think it's better you write it, actually.
Yes, we'll put a link underneath this video.
.is. And then that's where people can speak to us, and I'm always open. I'm on Facebook under Dan Sommer with this priest collar, and so people are always welcome to contact me there and work with me. And I also suggest they actually go to you. And for those viewers out there, then I had the honor of having Christina as a couch surfer here for a few days, and she's an amazing woman, an amazing young woman with huge talents, far beyond and knowledge far beyond her age. So I highly recommend that you take your time with her.
Thank you very much, Dan. It was indeed an amazing experience to be couchsurfing in Iceland, and I visited your sanctuary, and I definitely recommend anyone who got interested about this to check it out and see if they want to participate. So thank you, Dan, once again for your beautiful wisdom, for your empowering message, and thank you everybody for watching today's video. I hope you've been inspired and that you can start applying or implementing some of the ideas that we discussed today in your daily life. If you found this interview useful, share it on your social media and let your friends know that you're participating in this amazing online challenge with Fearless Warriors. Also, sign up to my channel, my YouTube channel, YouTube Journey to Bliss, and sign up to my newsletter on the link below to get your free Bliss Blueprint, the 3 stages of radical transformation from within. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.